guys, this is going to be for lesson 14.3, which is to classify triangles by their sides. So when we're looking at these triangles, you really have to look at, are they longer, are they shorter, are they exactly the same, are two of them the same, are none of them the same, or are all of them the same? So we're really going to be looking at the sides and how long they are, and we're going to use that with their side lengths. So first I'm going to kind of take a look at triangle A. So I noticed that this side is pretty short and these ones are actually really long. So it looks like I have two longer sides and this one's like a kind of like a shorter side. So if I look through these other triangles, like this one has long, this one's a little bit longer. This is kind of like almost like a 90-degree angle here. This one does not make 90 degrees, so I don't think that's the matching one. Let's go ahead and look at C. Oh, C is pretty good, except it just kind of is turned sideways. Like this side is long, and this side is short. So I think that these two can be classified as pretty much the same. It's just turned sideways. Let's go ahead and take a look at any other ones that might look like it. D, again, it's a long side, kind of a long side, but it's not as long because this one's kind of pointed down more, and then a short side. This one, actually, all those kind of look the same to me. Those kind of all look the same. This looks long, this looks long, this looks kind of long too. And then F, oh, they also kind of look like the same size. They are just all kind of really short. I'm going to use a different color to see if we can find any more matching ones. Well, I know that E and F are kind of the same because they all have like the shorter kind of sides and they kind of all actually look the same to me in my opinion. Let's take a look at the last group here. All of these kind of have B and D also have somewhat of longish. So they all kind of have like a different type of side length. So when I'm making these connections, I'd say the green ones don't really have any sort of pattern. Like they kind of all have different kind of side lengths. When I'm looking at the blue ones, I can notice that two of the sides are long and one of the sides are short. And then if I look over here at these red ones, to me, it looks like they have all of like the same shorter type of sides. They kind of all look the same on the same sides. So when I'm looking at these triangles, I was kind of able to make some connections based on what their side lengths look like. Some of them have 2 equal sides, some of them have 3 equal sides, some of them have no matches, and that's exactly what today's lesson is going to be all about. It's going to be about figuring out what we call those, because there's names for these triangles based on how their sides look. Do they have 2 of the same, none of the same, all of them the same? And we're going to get to those vocabulary words. Actually, we're going to do it right now. So let's go ahead and start off with these vocabulary words. It says triangles can be classified by their sides. An equilateral triangle has 3 sides the same length. And they marked it here with these little tick marks to kind of show you that they are the same. So those tick marks are to show you that they're the same size. So we're going to call this one equilateral triangle. A little small word here we can look at is the word equal. They all have the equal amount of sides. The second definition is called an isosceles triangle. Isosceles triangle, which has 2 sides the same length. So it's kind of like our last page where a couple of those triangles had 2 longer sides and 1 shorter side. Again, they marked them with tick marks to show you that those 2 sides are the same. The last vocabulary word we have is a scalene triangle, which is no sides the same length. All of these sides are different, so they did not mark them there with those tick marks. Okay, looks like we have Newton here to describe this. The red tick marks means that the sides of the figure have the same length. So the tick marks are showing us what's the same. So right here, it has 3 sides the same. Isosceles triangle has 2 sides the same. And a scalene triangle has no sides of the same length. Let's go ahead and take a look at this practice problem we have down here. It says, classify the triangle by its sides. Well, I can see that there's 2 tick marks. So when I look at the definitions, which one has 2 tick marks? it is going to be called a isosceles triangle. This triangle has two sides the same length, so we call that an isosceles triangle. Again, we really need to look at these definitions here. Equilateral, isosceles, scalene. Equal, three sides. Isosceles, two sides. Maybe a cool way to remember this is that there's two S's. So that can kind of help you out that the two S's means that there's two sides. Side S, isosceles side. I'm really trying to think of a fun way to remember that. So isosceles has two S's, maybe it has two sides the same length, and then scalene is 0 sides the same length. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on down to our couple last practice problems we have together, and then you'll be able to do the practice pages that I have assigned. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this first rectangle, or not a rectangle, duh. It's a triangle because there's three sides. So let's look at these triangles. I notice that all the sides are different. I don't see any tick marks on this one. So if I look back at our clues, we know that we have equal is 3 sides, isosceles is 2 sides, and scalene is no sides. So based on this picture, I see no sides the same length. So we're going to classify this as a scalene triangle. It has no sides the same. Let's look at number 2. I notice that there's 3 tick marks. So that is showing me that all 3 sides are equal. Hint, hint, that's the clue. Hint, hint, equal. We're going to call this an equilateral triangle, because it has 3 sides the same length, 3 tick marks, they're all the same. We call that equilateral triangle. All right, number 3. Again, I see that there is some tick marks here. That means that 2 sides are the same length. 2. There is one of our vocabulary words that has 2 S's. Again, I was trying to think of a fun, cool way to remember it. So 2 S's that are exactly the same side, we would call that an isosceles triangle. Again, isosceles triangle means it has 2 sides of the same length. All right, let's take a look at number 4. It says, use the triangular grid to draw any triangle. Classify the triangle by its sides. Okay, so I kind of have to use this and kind of make one up. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw one here. I'm going to draw a line here. I'm going to follow this line. I'm going to follow this line going up. Let's see. Can maybe anyone guess which one I drew? I'll give you a little hint. I'll put some tick marks on here to help you out. What do we think what kind that I drew? Think about definitions. 3 equal sides. Ooh, clue word, equal. Equal sides. So we're going to call this one an equilateral triangle. Again, you can draw anyone that you want. That's what the question's asking us. I chose to draw this one, and that is called an equilateral triangle. That is the end of our lesson for today, which is lesson 14.3.